Tuesday morning came, and it was freezing in Michigan. Really, really cold. The kind of cold that makes car doors stick and makes your breath turn into tiny ice clouds that float in front of your face. I was sitting at the kitchen table, checking my papers about my tenants, making sure everything was okay, when my phone started buzzing. At first, I thought it was nothing. Then I started getting messages, one after the other, about each of my 6 houses. Property 1, Riverside Duplex. Miss Salvara, there's a woman with a key box trying to go inside. You didn't say it was okay. Property 2, Oakmont Townhouse. Someone is taking pictures in the backyard. Should I call the police? Property 3, Heritage Street Fourplex. 8 people are walking through the building. No one told me. Property 4, Maple Grove Condo. Your brother told people they could see the house whenever they want. I was sleeping. Property 5, Lakeside Bungalow. The police are here. Someone said people were going in without permission. Property 6, Downtown Loft. I am a lawyer. What is happening is trespassing. I am writing everything down. I felt my stomach twist into knots. I opened Zillow on my laptop and there they were. 6 houses listed for sale, all with professional photos. Thaden must have hired a photographer and spent money to make it look real. Each house said things like, motivated seller, price to move, investor opportunity. Each house said it was empty, but I knew that all of them had tenants living in them. I felt my hands shake as I called my property lawyer, Dorian Aylwin, who has helped me for years. He sounded serious and calm. Don't go to any of the houses yourself, he said. Call the non-emergency police line for each address. Your tenants have every right to report trespassing. Document everything, screenshots, phone calls, text messages. Keep it all. We will need it. The police reports started coming in one by one, and each was a small disaster for Thaden Plan. Property 1, police warned the realtor. No more showings. Property 2, realtor got a $500 fine for trespassing. Property 3, Thaden got arrested because a retired police officer didn't like strangers walking through his bedroom. The bail was set at $15,000. Property 4, people complained to the real estate board about the fake listing. Property 5, tenant hired a lawyer and got a restraining order against Thaden and Leora from the gym. Property 6, the tenant's lawyer sent a cease and desist letter and warned of a civil lawsuit. At 3:47 p.m., Thaden called me from the county jail. I didn't pick up, but I listened to the voicemail. I listened 3 times. Every time, I could hear more panic in his voice. This is insane. I was trying to help you. The tenant at Heritage Street is crazy. Dad will bail me out, but you need to call off your tenants. They are ruining everything. We had buyers. Real buyers. Leora worked so hard on the listings. I saved the voicemail, but I didn't reply. I called Dorian. He said, we will go forward with full legal action. As I sat there, I started thinking about the past 7 years of my life and my family. I call it my ghost ledger. It's like a secret notebook that records not money, but feelings, time, and energy that nobody else notices. 7 years ago, family barbecue. Thaden got a new sales job. Everyone cheered. I told my family I bought my first duplex. Mom said, real estate is for people with money. Sweetie, get a stable job. I felt invisible, like my dreams didn't matter. 5 years ago, Christmas. Thaden bought a cruise for our parents with his bonus. I showed my property's cash flow. Dad looked at it and said, call us when you own something real. I felt like nothing I did would ever be enough. 3 years ago, at my sister's wedding, Thaden gave a speech about family success. No one mentioned me. I sat at the kids' table even though I was 32. I felt small and ignored. 18 months ago, Thanksgiving, I came home late from fixing a burst pipe at Lakeside Bungalow. Thaden said, when will you get a real career? I showed him my LLC made $48,000 net income. He glanced at it for 3 seconds and said, anyone can make money look good on paper. That night, I created a spreadsheet called the Ghost Ledger. I wrote down all the emotional costs, all the time and energy I had spent trying to win my family's approval. I counted the missed moments, the failed attempts to be noticed, the ways my achievements were ignored. 7 years of effort, all invisible to them. Then the legal steps started, moving slowly but surely. Step 1, collecting evidence, February 15th to 18th. I organized everything into manila folders, one for each house. Police reports, tenant statements, screenshots of the Zillow listings with timestamps, phone logs, and photos of Thaden and Leora conducting unauthorized showings. My paralegal, Maris, spent 6 hours creating a timeline document. "This is really good documentation," Maris said, handing me the bound report. "Most cases don't have this level of evidence. You have everything." Step 2. Criminal prosecution, February 19th to March 8th. The county prosecutor reviewed Thaden case. Assistant DA Corvina Liss called me. "Miss Salvara, your brother's case is straightforward. He committed criminal trespass at 6 separate properties. Thinking he had authority does not matter. Property ownership is a matter of public record. Does he have a history of this behavior?" I thought about 7 years of boundary violations. Corvina laughed. "We'll proceed with prosecution. 3 counts of criminal trespass. The other 3 tenants chose not to press charges. Each count carries up to 93 days in jail and a $1,000 fine." Thaden hired a defense attorney, Kaylin Stravos, with an $8,500 retainer fee. My mother called asking if I would contribute to Thaden legal defense since she said it was my fault. I declined. Step 3. Civil action, March 1st to 15th. I filed lawsuits for property damage, harassment, and violations of tenant rights. Each case had a carefully documented timeline with evidence from the folders. The civil lawsuits were meant to protect my tenants and make Thaden accountable for his reckless actions. As all this was happening, I thought about the lessons I had learned over 7 years. That trying to earn your family's approval by achievements alone is like feeding a slot Maselveri, hoping it will finally pay out. Sometimes you realize the Maselveri never pays, and the only reward is knowing your own worth. I also realized that people invested in your failure often cannot see your success. My parents, Thaden, and even my sister had spent years ignoring the value of my work. My properties weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they were homes for people, they generated steady income, and they increased in value over time. But no one cared to ask. They only saw failure. When the legal process ended, it was methodical, careful, and precise. Each step felt like finally standing on solid ground after years of walking through quicksand. Evidence collection, criminal prosecution, civil lawsuits, all of it was carefully planned. By March 15th, the results were clear. Thaden faced criminal charges, fines, and the possibility of jail time. The civil cases protected my tenants and ensured that no one else could try such reckless actions without consequences. I felt a sense of relief, not just because justice was served, but because I finally documented the emotional and financial cost of my family's disregard. The ghost ledger was no longer just an idea. It was a record, proof that 7 years of unnoticed effort were real and mattered. Looking back, I could see the pattern of my family's behavior. Celebrating Thaden achievements, ignoring mine, judging my choices without understanding the work behind them. Each small comment or dismissal added up over the years. Each time they ignored my success, it was like a tiny withdrawal from my emotional account. The ghost ledger showed the full balance. 7 years of life invested, ignored, and misunderstood. Even now, after all the legal battles, the ghost ledger reminds me of one thing. Value is not just in what others see. Value is in the work, in the persistence, in the choices you make even when no one notices. My properties, my tenants, my carefully planned finances, they were my proof, tangible and real, that my effort mattered. And Thaden? He learned the hard way that you can't pretend to have authority over other people's property. That fake listings and pretending to be the smart one only lead to consequences. He called from jail, panicked, but it was too late. The tenants, the police, and the law all had records. The truth was there in black and white. Sitting at my desk, I opened the ghost ledger again. I could see the years I had spent feeding the family approval Maselveri, and I could see how much I had actually accomplished despite their doubts. 7 years of patience, smart decisions, and careful planning had built something real, something valuable. Unlike Thaden's schemes, my success was quiet, steady, and unshakable. I smiled quietly to myself. Finally, I didn't need anyone else to validate my choices. The ghost ledger was my witness. My tenants were safe. My properties were protected. And I had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes, the only approval that matters is your own. Dorian filed a big, very detailed lawsuit in court. He said that Thaden Leora, the realtor, and my parents had worked together to try to steal my properties. They were being accused of doing something very wrong. The complaint had many parts. First, they tried to take my property. This happened 6 times. They also tried to interfere with my tenants, 6 times again. That means they were trying to cause trouble for the people who lived in my properties. They lied to people about who owned the properties. They made plans together to do something wrong, like having a family dinner where they talked about how to take my money and properties. They even caused me emotional pain on purpose. Dorian asked the court for $180,000. He also wanted money to help tenants move, legal fees, money I lost while tenants were disrupted, and extra punishment money called punitive damages. Thaden's lawyer tried to get the case thrown out. He said Thaden thought he was helping me manage my properties. Thaden's lawyer even included a statement from my mom saying I was bad with money. Judge Patricia Morrison quickly said no. She said their beliefs about me did not matter. The public records showed I owned all 6 properties. The motion was denied. That meant the lawsuit would continue. The next step was discovery. This happened from March 15th to April 30th. Discovery is when lawyers can ask each other for important information, like emails and documents. Dorian asked for all messages between my family about my properties. My parents' lawyer tried to stop it, but Judge Morrison said they had to give the emails. The emails were full of secrets. There were 3 years of messages. Thaden wrote to Mom, "She's going to lose everything. We should start planning an intervention." Dad wrote to Thaden, "Talk to a lawyer friend. If she is called financially incompetent, we could get control of her things." Zephyra wrote in the family chat, "When this rental thing fails, we should make sure she doesn't hurt us." Mom wrote to everyone, "Maybe if she sold the properties, she'd finally settle down and find a husband." I read these emails in Dorian's office. The sun was shining in, making sharp angles across the big wooden table. Maris, Dorian's assistant, brought me coffee. She didn't say anything, just squeezed my shoulder gently. It felt like she understood everything I was feeling. I remembered the exact moment it all started. It was in my father's living room in 2017. I had just secured financing for my first duplex. I was excited and nervous. My dad said, "Real estate investing is for people with family money to fall back on. You don't have that safety net. You're going to fail, and we can't bail you out." I remembered the carpet under my fingers. I remembered the sunlight hitting his glasses. His voice sounded so final, like it could not be changed. That's when I realized I could only rely on myself. No one else would help me. I had 2 choices. I could collapse under their expectations, feeling sad and hopeless. Or I could build something so strong that even they could not ignore me. I chose to build. I chose fortresses. Strong, unbreakable fortresses. Next step was mediation. This happened on May 15th. The court wanted us to try to solve the problem without going to a full trial. The mediator was a retired judge named Ulrich Thales. He had seen everything before, and he had helped lots of people solve problems. Thaden's lawyer said, he just wanted to help his sister. He didn't do anything wrong. Dorian responded with all the evidence. He showed the property values, rental income, and equity calculations. Miss Salvara owns 6 properties worth $2.78 million, with $2.1 million in equity. She makes $50,000 every year from these properties. Now tell me, how overwhelmed is that? My mom tried to be emotional. We're family. Can't we work it out? I spoke for the first time in 6 hours. I said, "You plan to steal $2.1 million from me, and you ask about family?" Everyone was quiet. I let the silence last long enough to hear the clock tick 17 times. The mediation failed. That meant the case would go to trial. Step 6, trial. This happened from June 20th to 22nd. The criminal trial came first. Prosecutor Winters showed videos from Property 3. Thaden had let himself and 4 buyers into the property. The tenant, retired police officer Torvin Hallow, watched from his window and called 911. Thaden said, "I thought I was helping my sister. I didn't mean to do anything wrong." Winters showed the jury my property management spreadsheets, maintenance logs, and financial statements. "Does this look like someone who's overwhelmed?" Tenants spoke too. Mrs. Isolde said, "Miss Salvara called me personally about the showing and even reduced my rent that month. That's not incompetence. She cares about us." The jury listened carefully. Verdict: Thaden was guilty on all 3 counts. He was sentenced to 180 days in jail, but 90 days were suspended. He got 3 years of probation, $3,000 in fines, restitution to tenants totaling $8,400, and 200 hours of community service. The civil trial followed in August. My parents' lawyer said they only talked about selling the properties. They never actually tried to steal anything. Dorian showed the emails and the dinner where they planned everything. My mother's phone call to Leora, the realtor, setting up the first meeting was proof. Judge Morrison's ruling was clear. The defendants conspired to take the plaintiff's property. Even though the plan failed, the intent was there. Judgment for the plaintiff: $180,000 plus $47,000 legal fees. Step 7: Collection. This happened from August to December. My parents' lawyer filed for bankruptcy. Dorian objected. Fraud judgments cannot be erased in bankruptcy. The court agreed. Their house went into foreclosure. Dad's boat, which he bought thinking he would get $350,000, was repossessed. Thaden lost his sales job because of his felony conviction. Zephyr's boutique closed after the news came out. Leora the realtor lost her license for gross negligence. Step 8: Appeals were denied in January. Thaden argued that the jury was given the wrong instructions. The Michigan Court of Appeals said no. His belief that he could act was irrelevant. Ownership matters more than his thoughts. My parents appealed, saying the damages were too high. The appeals court said no. The trial court's calculations were fair. All loopholes were closed. 6 months later, I stood at the Heritage Street fourplex. Fresh paint was drying on the walls. Tenant Torvin Hallow was moving to Arizona for retirement. "You handled that well," he said, handing me the keys. I had reduced rents for 3 months after the incident. Most landlords would have blamed the tenants for causing trouble, but I had protected them. The restraining orders stayed permanent. I blocked all family numbers, emails, and social media accounts. I even changed my address. Property 7 closed escrow in November. It was a small commercial building downtown. Property 8 was under contract. All 6 original properties were 100% rented. Rent was paid on time. Maintenance funds were fully funded. The Ghost Ledger's last entry was on February 14, 2024. Family planned to steal $2.1 million from me. Cost revealed their true character. Value priceless. I had paid with 7 years of hope. They paid with everything. Revenge is not about being angry. Revenge is about surviving, building, and letting those who underestimated you watch your success from the outside. Forever. No family to sabotage me. No approval to chase. Just properties, tenants, and the rewards of investing in myself. The account is closed. The balance is 0. And now I am finally free.